Today I'm exploring one of the UK's first factories building metal frame houses, and in this video you're not only just going to understand every single step that it takes to build a new house from the 3D model all the way to a fully functioning home, but also I'm going to reveal the truth. How much do they cost? Do they rust? How long do they actually last? This is information you can't find anywhere else, and the truth might just blow your mind. So without further ado, I am in Caladan's factory where they build metal frame houses. Let's get right into the video. This video is split up into 3 parts. We start at the very beginning with how these metal houses are designed. We then go inside the factory to see how the metal frames are actually built, and then we get to go on site and see how they are installed. This is information that you can't get anywhere else. You're going to take a lot of value from this one. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I'm currently with Reese, who is the design manager who designed the metal frame for the houses that we're building on the construction site I'm working on. If you just have a look over here. So this is the ground floor and the first floor for the houses that are metal framed.
Correct, yeah.
So they start on here, and then from this then you can create a 3D model of the metal frame.
That's right, yeah. Our structural engineer produces these drawings. As you can see here, you know, he's done the full build-up, line and point loads, and they're all checked off then by the structural engineers. We take the information from here and we're able to build our 3D models.
So how long does it take then for yourself, or any design manager really, to take from these plans into the 3D model, and then I'm assuming then this 3D model is then used to generate the sizes and the quantities for the factory that we're going to look at a little bit later.
That's right, yeah. So typical design time from sort of information received from structural engineer to, you know, a fully completed model. I mean, you could be talking a couple of days just for the first issue model. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it's what takes a little bit of time for everyone else to start reviewing and say, can we do this? Can we do that? Through to completion, you could be talking 6 weeks.
Wow, okay. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that happen that nobody gets to see. This is one of them. It takes 6 weeks just to design the house before manufacturing or installation even begins, which is pretty crazy. At the end of the video, you'll understand which part takes the longest to complete. But for now, let me show you one of the biggest secrets about 3D models. You're going to want to see this. This is a model.
This is the model of the same house you can see on the screen here.
Oh, very cool, okay.
So this is the architect's model loaded in. We can remove that by the tick of the box to just see the frame with the M&E models.
Oh, there you go. That's cool. Okay.
And as you can see, we issued some comments on these, and you know, just sort of like, can we do this to make things easier for the runs and the M&E?
So when you design these kind of models, then do you work hand in hand with the M&E, with the mechanical? Because obviously on these houses we're building, you can see you've got ductwork and all the rest of it. Will you integrate that into the design before then it gets manufactured?
Yeah, so as you can see, the services running through the joists. Blue is the ducting and the
red.
Intake, outtakes. Typically we do have electrical runs on here as well. They've not been included on this model, but we got the, as you can see up here, you got the hot and cold water pipes that we're all able to sort of place holes in, and then we give that information over to production, and then they know exactly where they need to place holes in.
That's super cool. That's super cool. The very next step after the 3D model is complete is the manufacturing process. And trust me, it's seriously impressive. But before we get to that, I want to answer the big question. Why do so many people completely hate the idea of metal frame houses? Well, I sit down with Chris, the managing director of this metal frame fabrication company, and the answer might shock you. But before we get to that, if you are enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing, because I'm such a small channel and it means so much to me. Thank you. What do you think is the biggest thing people get wrong about metal frame houses? Why do you think so many people hate on them?
I would say there's a lot of people perhaps who haven't experienced steel frame housing, so there's a little bit of uncertainty. People would obviously think about rust, I would imagine, fixing, technically things like cold bridging, air tightness. I mean, we could sell steel with advantages over any of the other forms, such as timber frame with shrinkage.
Absorption with moisture as
Absolutely.
well. That steel frame just doesn't really get
drying
affected.
out times. The vagaries of the UK climate is such that we need a product that can be installed in wet weather without holding moisture, and steel, it's a massive tick in that box.
Me and Chris touch on the lifespans of metal frame houses a little bit later, but for now, let's do this factory tour and see how the steel frame is really put together. This is going to be interesting. So I'm with Dave at the moment, who's the production director. Now, Dave is the manager for looking after this whole factory. So we've seen how it's designed in the BIM 3D model, which has been really interesting. And now we're at the factory where it actually happens. So the first start of the process then is that they get a coil onto site.
This is our coil stock here, and we're ordering normally 6 months in advance. Obviously what we do is we keep quite a considerable amount of stock so that we can offer a quick turnaround should it be required.
So how much, in an order, how much do you get then? What is the size that we're talking?
They'll deliver down, we'll fill an Arctic full, so we'll be calling off 28 tonne at a time.
28 tonne at a time,
but I mean,
wow.
We could have 2 or 3 deliveries a week.
Wow.
And we try to plan it so that the steel comes in on the first week of the month, and then obviously we try to control the stocks by dispatching as much as we can.
So when it gets arrived, is it already galvanised?
Yes.
So
yes.
Cool. Okay. So it comes to site from a lorry that gets manufactured in a factory elsewhere.
Yes.
It comes in a coil like this. So how does it go from this to then already to be on site?
This is the process now. So if we just walk across here, we have the framing line is behind here. So it goes onto the decoiler. It loops down through there. The dancer arm there determines when the coil holder moves, so you maintain a loop there to allow for all the punching. And then the first operation is, it comes through here, and this is a punch and die set, so that puts all the various punches and holes in. So
thinking about this now when we're on site, so these holes that are punctured, what would the holes be used for?
Right, you'll have your service holes, so obviously for all your cabling to go through. It also, for us, it enables us to put the frame together. So for instance, it cuts the lips out. If you have a look at this. So as it's a fully integrated framing system, it'll cut the holes out there so that then the cross side members or the studs can go into there. It swages the ends like so. So that will fit into there. So it means that the frame itself is always flush.
Okay.
So nothing actually sticks out. So the plasterboard goes onto it as a flush finish.
Yeah. So one of the benefits of metal frame is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the most precise form of construction, isn't it?
Yes.
And the reason it's so precise.
It's dimensionally stable. It's not like timber. Because obviously timber's going to get wet. It's going to warp, contract. You're going to have all sorts of issues. Then if you've got frames on site, or if you've got timber frame on site, gets wet, and if they're in stalls, you're going to have lots of service issues. Call back with plasterboard cracking. Dimensionally stable.
And because it's dimensionally stable, that's why you have the much better air tightness in the house, or the extra comfort that you have, because you don't have those air leaks that you would have on a timber or masonry frame.
And obviously you're maintaining then the actual footprint of the house a lot better as well.
Yeah, cool. So we looked at the model earlier, the 3D BIM model, with how you penetrate openings for ducting or cables, and that all happens in this kind of machine here.
So that puts all your service holes in there and does all the necessary holes then for the actual assembly of the frame to maintain it flush.
Cool.
Yeah. It then goes through a series of contoured rollers which gradually form it up into the C profile.
Cool. Okay. So it goes from flat into more of a C shape.
Through to here where we put the actual side holes in, the dimple holes and the flange holes, which is the flanges there. And then it comes through to there onto the cut-off, and that's then cuts it at its preset length. Okay. And that is all done from the file that I imagine you saw Reese generate. So we get direct access from here onto the server, and we can load up, you can load up either one frame, or we could load up a whole semi-detached house.
So the BIM model we saw earlier on gets transferred onto here.
Well, it creates, what it actually does, the BIM model will create, it breaks it down into the individual frames. The individual frames then generate a file which runs the machine.
Cool. So then that goes put onto here.
Yes.
The coil comes in, stretches the metal, and then punches the hole as per the
forms the
drawing.
metal up like, exactly, so it matches everything that's up in design.
Very cool. That's really cool. So it comes through, then it gets punctured, it cut to the right length.
Yes.
Then how do we get to the next part of the process then?
Right. From then on, we go on to the assembly tables. Each length is individually marked and printed up, so we know. Okay. So what the guys do here is they take it from the trolley that's come over from the rolling machine. They set out the frame to the drawing. This is now assembled to this drawing here, and you can see all the individual part numbers are on there. So that enables the guys to make sure everything goes into the right place.
So it gets punctured out, it gets brought over here then, and then you use this drawing to put all of the little pieces together.
Yes, put the kit of parts together, yes.
Okay.
So we'll do one side here, goes down to the butterfly tables, because obviously we want to minimise any manual handling. They flip over there. We've got rollers there which we can just pull back onto that table over there, and then the other side is then screwed up.
Wow, cool.
And then it's then bundled up right by the table and then stocked onto the yard.
Right, so almost a little bit like a Lego piece. You put these individual pieces together, you get a wall panel, that then is then the final product all ready to go out to be installed onto the foundation.
That's right.
And then obviously you've got your brickwork and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely, which is,
amazing, brilliant stuff. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good. The time it takes to manufacture a whole frame for a metal house can take up to 2 weeks, which is pretty incredible. Now, very soon you're going to learn how much it takes to install this metal frame on a construction site. But before I get to that, let's understand how long metal homes can actually last.
I think we've had some growth with steel framing. It's becoming more acceptable. It's becoming more mainstream. You know, the accreditations that we have to subscribe to for mortgage companies and this, that and the other is pretty similar now to timber, Bopass, for example, or SCI, NHBC. I would say there are always reasons favour one or the other, and whilst I'm a believer in steel frame, I'm certain there's going to be situations where masonry is going to be a more suitable choice, where timber frame for whatever reason is going to be
depending on the climate.
Absolutely, depending on climate conditions, requirements, carbon, there's so many factors at play. What I like about steel frame, particularly from a residential perspective, is that we can build quickly and we can produce a property then that is going to be virtually defect-free with regard to the envelope and the frame for a long period of time, without shrinkage, cracks, and the normal problems associated with other framing systems.
There are a lot of factors that affect a lifespan of a metal frame house, but if everything is done correctly, these homes should last well over 60 years, and in the right conditions, much longer. Now, this is all according to the Steel Construction Institute, where all metal houses in the UK fall under. So now we understand how it's designed, we understand how it's manufactured, and now let's look at how is it actually installed on a construction site. Well, fortunately for us, I'm a site manager working on a construction site building 52 metal houses using the frames built in this factory. Soon enough, you'll understand how much these can cost, but for now, let's actually understand how they are installed. So once the ground workers finish the foundation, they hand it over to the steel fixers, and then they can start doing their job on it. So first things first, they make sure that there's no low or high points. That's the key thing here. You don't want to build a house when the foundation of the house is basically like ripply and rough and all the rest of it. So you want it to be smooth. So they sand it down. After they sand it down, they mark out where the rooms are going to be, where the panels are going to fit. So you can see the panels have already been brought down to this part of the site, and they've already fitted the panels onto the slab. So now the steel fixers will offload the panels and fix it in the right location where they've marked on the yellow lines where the wall is going to be. So that's the first step of installing the steel frame. Once ready, the installation process of the metal frame is pretty simple. We get the forklift to bring it down to the specific plot, and then the steel fixers pick up the metal frame, panel by panel and fix it into the ground and into the adjoining walls, and this happens for the whole of the ground floor. Then we fit the joists, and then the chipboard flooring is ready to be installed. Once that's done, the same thing applies for the first floor. All right, I hope you're coming to grasp with how quickly it takes from the steel frame to go from the ground to the first floor. It's really quickly, and this part of the job doesn't slow down either. I'm literally standing on the first floor of this house. I've got scaffolding wrapped all around me, and you can see that the cement board was fixed yesterday. They also used the glue to tighten the gap so there's no water going through the floor, and then also then when the house gets handed over and the house is finished, the acoustic properties that it provides as well. So after they do that, then they can bring the panels onto this part of the first floor, and then they can start fixing them up now. And you can see as they're doing now, they're mapping out where they're going. So we've got 2 panels here, another 2 panels over there, a few panels behind me, you see the ladder. So they're getting all set up, all ready for the first floor of this house, which is really exciting. The scaffolding then goes up around the metal frame, and the steel fixers do the exact same thing on the ground floor on the first floor. And that is pretty much how the metal frame is completely installed. Altogether, it takes just over a week to install the frame on site, which makes it the quickest part of the whole process, which is pretty incredible. Finally, the last thing we have to do is install the white glass rock weather protection board that goes on the outside of the metal frame, which then the brickwork will connect onto. Finally, the cost of the metal frame can be anywhere between £15,000 and £25,000 depending on the manufacturer, the type of material, and even its location. There's a lot of factors that get into it, but as a figure, that's a good average to work with. And that is the video complete. Today, you have seen the complete process of how a metal frame is designed, manufactured, and installed. This was a video that I really enjoyed making, so I hope you enjoyed. If you did gather value, then please subscribe, because I'm only a small channel and it means so much to me. So I've got lots of other videos on how we develop a house from the metal frame. You will find it very useful. I will see you there.